Oh, dude, your cheek. No, other cheek. Ah, don't touch it.
Wait. Did I break up with Terry?
He punched you in the face.
Welcome back to this year's 31 Mad Days of Terror. I am your host, the titular Mad Silence. In my review of the original All Cheerleaders Die, touched on my May review, and how I made mention of McKee and Siverston's reimagining of their first full-length film. However, I left out the context because playing the actual clip, audio and all, makes more sense here. So let's do that before we get into it, shall we? I remember enjoying Lucky McKee's later effort, All Cheerleaders Die, a lot better. So I guess I'll stick with that as my cult classic, and the May fans can keep this one. Obviously, that's a pretty unpopular opinion. But the question is, do I still agree with it? Honestly, yes I do, and it's hard to say how much of that is because of the addition of co-writer-director Chris Siverston, especially since this and its predecessor are my only real exposure to his work. What I can say for sure, though, is that it's the most engaged I'd been with McKee's work up until my rewatch of Sick Girl, which may have usurped this. This movie is almost the perfect mix of irreverent, somewhat mean-spirited comedy, drama, and horror. In fact, upon rewatch, it reminded me quite a bit of the original Bring It On, while very much being its own thing. There's obviously the horror and lesbian elements, which set it apart. Aspects from the original also return in a way that complements the film, as opposed to being distracting, out of place, or saccharine fan service. Not that I'd expect that from something based on what was basically an obscure student film, but still, gotta give credit where it's due. Now, while I enjoy 2013's All Cheerleaders Die quite a bit, I can admit that my rewatches did more than just reinforce my biases towards it. It also kinda challenged them. See, this is a film that's front-loaded with its best material, that falls into the trap of becoming a somewhat generic horror movie by the end, abandoning a lot of the more interesting character drama, and pretty much completely shifting to a much darker, less earned finale. In fact, the film adds a rather jarring element of backstory between the protagonist and main antagonist that felt completely unnecessary when he was already a completely effective big bad, bending all the jocks to his will. I mean, he punches the shit out of his ex earlier in the film, which on top of being really visceral, is a far superior recreation of what happens in the original. So the reveal of what he did to the main girl not only feels really clumsy in its execution, but also makes her original plan for revenge on him seem much less severe than it honestly probably should. There's also just that shameless cliffhanger for a part 2 that will probably never happen, considering it's already been a longer wait for that than there was for the remake, with not even a single update in about 10 or so years. Anyway, I need to make a bigger video on this film, since this review is almost a page already, and I still have so much I want to say about it. But for now, I'll leave you with this. While I recommend 2013's All Cheerleaders Die, I also know it's probably the most polarizing, if not outright least popular entry of McKee's filmography that I've looked at, so I'm quite aware not everyone who checks it out because of this review will be the most pleased with me. That is, unless your taste is as immaculate as yours truly's. Tomorrow we'll be changing gears as we look at a film about an outcast and his furry little friends. But until then, like, comment, and subscribe if you like my content and want to see more or just have something to say. And with that, this is Mad Silence, signing out.
Lena!
I'm sorry, Larry. I think my friends are hungry.
What? Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to this year's 31 Mad Days of Terror. I am your host, the titular Mad Silence. In my review of the original All Cheerleaders Die, Honestly, yes I do. And it's hard to say how much of that is because of the addition. Son of a bitch! While I recommend 2013's All Cheerleaders Die, I also know it's probably the most polarizing, if not alt-right,